Once again, I welcome to the Dr. Ramalakshmi ma'am to accepting my invitation. Now I call upon Professor Vivek Kumar sir to citation about the resource person.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Ambit Kumar sir. Now I like to introduce Dr. K. Ramalakshmi ma'am. So she has completed his PhD from Anna University, Chennai in the year 2016, and specialized areas are AI, data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and wireless sensor network. And she has 17 years of academic and research experience, and she has served as a doctoral committee member and has a guideship in Karunya University of Technology and Science. And she have reviewed conferences and journal, and she is a reviewer of reputed SCI Index journal, and she has participated and organized various FDPs, workshops, STTPS, webinars on research topics, and she has delivered a keynote address in Atal workshops, AICT sponsored STTP webinars, and she is an active member in professional bodies, and she has received a Computer Society of India CSI Active Women Participation Award twice, and she has 24 publications in various conferences and journal, and she is an Oracle certified professional and recognized trainer in Oracle Academy. And she has also completed certification in artificial intelligence, advanced data mining, machine learning, and data analytics. And she have also worked in an intern in FIBA, Financial and Business Analytics project at MNC companies, Pune, to know the company's perseverance in problem solving for real-time applications. Thank you. Now I'd like to hand over the session to Dr. K. Ramalakshmi ma'am. Ma'am, please take the session, ma'am.
My screen is shareable, sir. I have shared my screen. Are you able to see that? Sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, shall I good to go?
Oh, once again, ma'am. Once again. Ma'am, can you share?
Okay, I have to share.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, now it is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. I know that this is the last session and you will be very impatient at this moment, but I'll make it as interesting as possible and stick with the timelines and complete on time. So this is Ramalakshmi. And today we will be discussing about, I think last topic that was discussed was about RNN. So I'll start, what is the drawback of the RNN? Why we go for LSTM? So my area of interest today is long short-term memory. Okay, so before going to that, I wanted to give you a small story that captures your attention. Why I am interested on machine learning. See, nowadays you all know that since the start of the pandemic, for everything we need some kind of motivation to be done or we need a motivation. So this is one of that kind of motivation which led me towards studying machine learning. And this is published exactly on my son's birthday, second son's birthday, that is April 10th and 2020. And she has been talking about this for the past, from 2016, I have heard her TED Talks, and this is how she visualized the moment she visualized the black hole using the machine learning concept, and she has used different telescopes, and she has brought a live picture of a wormhole that is present 55 million light years away from the Earth, and for it is really impossible for a human to achieve this height. This is like one of the greatest achievement that we have done earlier. So the AI and the machine learning has come to the point that it could visualize anything which is incapable of a human brain to assign and develop, right? So that is a motivation for me. I started following her and her work. So that is you all know that how this black hole was being done, and all the images have been circulated and most tweeted. It was 2020 most tweeted image also, and it got viral, and that is my motivation. So let us now jump into the topic right now. Okay, so now we'll see what is the drawback you face with the recurrent neural network and why we go for the short long-term memory. Okay, so before going to the drawback, let me tell what is long short-term memory. So you all know that the human brain is very amazing and it has so many different exploring types and different types of imagination, decision making. It is capable of doing 74 trillion operation. That is combination of decisions could be done by your human brain. Human brain, the Tesla owner Elon Musk has stated that your brain is the supercomputer. So he has a Tesla the Tesla is driving by a superpowered artificial intelligence system, even though he is now saying that your brain is the super machine which could do 74 trillion operations per second, whereas his system could do 73 trillion operations per second. So that is how our human brain is. So your human brain is also capable of storing the information. See, sometimes you feel that some of the information you wanted to remember, you forget. Okay, that is how your brain works, because your brain is designed in such a way it optimizes your memory. Like whatever is not required, it dumps out of your memory. Okay, so that is stored in a short memory which will go out, and which is required, which is daily pattern or which is related to some task every day. Like that, it is stored on the long-term memory. So your brain is an optimized engine which could store certain relevant information which is used for driving you every day in your long-term memory, and which is not necessary, that could be pushed or dumped out of your memory. So sometimes if you forget something, you think that your memory is optimized in running your memory system. But sometimes we also forget our car keys, important documents. That happens, but still your memory is on training phase, so it will do it, right? So that is how the long short-term memory process works. So that is a little introduction about your long-term memory and short-term memory. Long-term memory usually stores all your experience connected with some operations, and it is in a repeated pattern. Okay, that is stored on a long-term memory. Short-term memory has which has a little weightage or information that are stored in the short term. For example, your everyday breakfast, when you are driving the car which is passing through yourself, that will be stored in your memory for seconds or minutes. After that, you will forget. So that kind of information are stored in the short-term memory. Long-term memory, that you involve yourself, like studying or experimenting or some beautiful moments that you have captured on your mind. All this is connected to your long-term memory. So this LSTM is purely designed in such a way it works in long and short-term memory concept. We'll see that how it works. Okay, now coming to the recurrent neural network, I hope ma'am would have told you about how this works. Recurrent neural network work, what is the architecture of it. So I'm just going to PPT is stuck. So you're able to see my screen? Okay. So now when you talk about your back propagation network, why we go for it? Before going to the drawback, I have to tell you what is back propagation network. You all know that what is back propagation. Still, I'll tell you what is back propagation network. See, when your expected output, okay, is not matching your predicted output, what we will do is we will communicate the weights, ask the layers to adjust their weight. We back propagate the weights. While you are back propagating, you cannot back propagate the weight as such. So what we will do, otherwise your neural network will explode. So what you will do is you will back propagate by taking the differentiation of the weight. So the small portion of the weight is asked to be updated in all the layers, and it goes from the final layer that is your softmax layer or a final activation layer, till the first layer, all layers are asked to update their weights and recompute the calculation, and the voting protocols are decided at the final end. So this is how your back propagation network works. So every weight you back propagate. Okay. Similarly, when you use RNN, this is happening on your RNN. So what is the problem with RNN is, while it is back propagating, okay, sometimes it tend to lose the context. So are you all able to see my screen, sir? Screen? Sir, are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Forward propagation, and after that it is stuck. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now drawback of RNN is two problems we have. One is vanishing problem, another is exploding gradient problem. While you are back propagating the weight, this happens. So how that affect your text prediction? Because mostly, as sir told, it's a computer visioning thing. I am working on captioning the videos, captioning the images. For that, I am using RNN. Usually for generative types of neural networks, we will go with generative neural networks, GAN we call it as, but for images. But for the text, okay, we use RNN. So here I'm going to tell in the concept of text only, not on the image part. But later I'll discuss how we can train an image, through an image, how we can train a text. That we will be discussing on the later part. So now you can see that there is a sentence called cat sat on the wall and had a food, and you have so many other lines and it was full. Okay. Now my question is, are you talking about a cat or are you talking about a wall? Because you have so many informations in between, your RNN will lose this context. RNN lose not only in this, but if you have complex data, like so many different types of informations are coming, then your RNN is surely going to lose the context. So that comes the picture of LSTM. So why this RNN is losing the context here? Either you are talking about a cat, or you are talking about a wall, or you are talking about a road, or you are talking about a boy. So some statements are like that in between. It get confused because there is a complexity of the program is going high, and also the length when it grows. Okay, along with the complexity, RNN finds it difficult to do the predictions properly. That is because of this two problem, and this problem we call it as a vanishing gradient and exploding gradient problem. So what is vanishing gradient problem is, so when you are back propagating the weight, at that time what happened, you take the differentiation of the weight, so that is added to the original weight and it is communicated back. Okay, you are taking the differentiation of your weight. So here what happened here is, sometimes what you back propagate goes very negligible. Okay, it's become very 0.000 like that, 10 to the power of 12 or 10 to the power of 10. It becomes very negligible, so that no weight updation is done at all at the lower layer end. Okay, so what happened, every time expected output is going to be wrong and your error rate is going to go up. Okay, so your prediction will not be correct. So this we call it as a vanishing gradient because the weight is diminished. Okay, next one is exploding gradient problem. Here what happened is, your weight is differentiated, but what happened, even though you differentiate your weight, it becomes, even if it's a large number, it is not, the differentiation is not going to reduce the number so much. So what happened, the number is going to be high only. Okay, so it is far more greater than 1. Okay, and so the weight, after differentiation also, the weight is not going to be reduced so much. So what happened is, it is again creating a problem that it will explode. Okay, so it is also going to do a wrong prediction. Okay, the weightage of the same word will be, same prediction will be done. When you have exploding gradient, same word will be repeated. Okay, so this is the problem with the exploding gradient. So these two problems are the major problem when your RNN is complex and lengthy. So that's why we are moving for the next architecture that we call it as a LSTM. Okay, this PPT is getting stuck. So you have studied the RNN architecture. You would have seen a threshold function, stan threshold function, which is used as a limiting function. We also call it as a squashing function or limiting function. So in LSTM architecture, we are going to add some more gating mechanisms, which will help you to put something in the long-term memory and something in the short-term memory. I'm stuck with the PPT. 1 second. I reshare it. Okay. So now let us take an example of a children's book. Okay. In that we have very simple statement like Dow saw Jane, Jane saw Spot, and Spot saw Duck. So this is a small dictionary which has 3 different names like Dow, Jane, Spot. Okay. And now we are going to see how this will make your RNN work and LSTM work. Okay. If you use RNN, what happened? New information you will give as an input and previous prediction. Always, this is a sequence kind of data. Your current prediction is always dependent on the previous prediction. So the previous prediction is also given. So this both will help you to do the proper prediction. If name comes, either saw or dot will come. Okay. If saw or dot is coming, name will come. Okay. So you can see that your previous prediction and current predictions are being used to give. See, when you use saw or dot, then the name will come. Okay, so that is the prediction. So that's how your RNN works. But when RNN is having a big statement, suppose here we have a very small context only. When you have a big complex context, your RNN tends to give data like this. See, this is Dow saw Dow. This is exploding gradient. Okay, so you can see Spot dot, Dow dot, Jane dot. It misunderstood the context itself. Okay, so this is because of vanishing. Okay, vanishing gradient. So this problem, Jane saw, Spot saw, Dow saw, this is again exploding gradient. So this problem's creating a lot of huge difference in RNN network when it goes very high in complexity and the number. That's why we are moving for the LSTM. So after LSTM also we have different algorithms has come up. That is next is the attention networks, then transformers has come. So all this is improvement. So today our context will stick with LSTM, then we will move on for, if time permits, we'll move on for the next. Okay. So now this is the problem with the RNN because it is doing a wrong predictions. You cannot go with this wrong prediction. So we are moving for the next. I don't know what is the problem. The slide is getting stuck. Sir, is this okay? I'll keep the slide on this mode. When I go for
yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Because when I go for this slide,
okay, no problem.
Presentation, it's getting stuck. Okay, now let us see the this is your previous RNN architecture where we have only one neural network and a squashing function. Okay, now we are going to have one more gate. Okay. 4 gates we are going to add in this mechanism. One more neural network I'm going to add. Whatever is given in the box is nothing but a neural network. So this neural network will explode. That's why what we are doing is we are squashing it using some function like TranH or sigmoid. This is sigmoid function. This is TANH function. We will squash the output so that it won't explode. So it will stay between 0 to 1 or 1 to 0.5 like that. We will squash it. So here second, this was your part of your what you have studied right now is this part alone you have studied. Now we are moving for the. So this is your part of the RNN. This is only the part of the RNN you have studied. So along with this, now we are moving for a addition of new neural network for adding a gating mechanism. So what is the use of this gating mechanism? That allows you to remember and forget something. So when the predictions are coming, okay, this gating mechanism, what it will do is this, when you send whatever prediction is coming from here, a copy of the prediction is passed to this neural network, and this neural network will try to find the context and try to remember something and forget something. Okay, so forgetting and remembering taking place on this. Okay, how will you do this forgetting and remembering? How this neural network is doing? That is through this gating mechanism. What is gating mechanism? You all know that when there is a large crowd, when I open the full gate, what happens? Everybody can come in. When I use half of the gate, some people will come. When I close the gate, nobody can come. Same thing we are going to do here. When you multiply with more number, you are going to open it fully. When you are multiply or addition, okay. When you're going to do with a smaller number, you are going to make it harder. Okay, like that gating mechanism here. So here you can see that two different type of gating is there. This we call it as a point multiplication, and this we call it as a point addition. Okay, this two gating mechanism will help you to forward the information toward the next level. So here you can see that whatever this mechanism is doing, okay, forgetting and remembering. So this is also giving some information to your next level. Okay, this forgetting and remembering something and passing it to here is done through this gating mechanism. So you can see this is point multiplication. So what is point multiplication? You can see here. So if you multiply with a bigger number, you have a highest weightage. Okay, this you all know that all deep neural networks is a black box. Okay, we don't do anything. We just assign layers. You assign tasks. You prepare the model. You give the input data, hyper tune your parameters, and you will get the output. You don't know how exactly it is doing. See, your network will learn by itself. So now you might be asking a question, how this gate will remember which is good, which has the highest weightage, which is having lower. That is done by the neural networks. We are not doing that research on this particular architecture. So this architecture will tend to learn by itself and see which has got more information on particular context. Okay, repeated information on that. So this is contributing through point multiplication. Then comes the point addition. That is also same. You can see that element by element addition. So it is doing it's like matrix multiplication. So that is, array multiplication, it is done. Okay, so that is how this gating mechanism work. You can see that when the gate is on, it is 1. Okay, when it is partially open, 0.5. When it is closed, it is 0. So this is how your gating mechanism works. So when it is fully closed, no data will be remembered. Okay, so when it is half, it has some importance. When it is full, it has a higher importance. Like that, your gating mechanism try to remember and forget the data through this forget gate. Okay, that gate is called named as forget gate. Okay, next, there we used a sigmoid function, which is again a squashing function, which squashes your input, because this neural network do lot of computation and your values may explode. So you have to squash it between 0 and 1. So that is done with the sigmoid function. Then we are moving for the next gate. We call it as a selection gate. Okay, what is the use of this selection gate? So many possibilities are coming. Okay, so here you are giving so many possibilities, because this forgetting gate is also giving some input. You have done some prediction. All these possibilities are given to this particular network, and this selection gate is capable of selecting a correct output for it. So how it will do, because it will not allow all the predictions. Okay, suppose if you have given Dove right now, the next name cannot be Dove, right? So Dove saw Dove cannot be correct, right? Dove saw Spot, or Dove saw Jane. That is correct. Okay, the name Dove has already came. So this selection gate will help you in doing that properly. So repetition could be avoided. Okay, so this selection has some deployed with a neural network again, and that is a squashing function, and that is also a gating mechanism, which will help you to precisely give some predictions for the output. So that is what it is doing. So it filtered to keep the memory and push the predictions. Okay, so sometimes it work on the memory and try to push the correct prediction. Memory means recently happened, you cannot happen again. So that is pushed back, and it give a correct prediction to the next level. That is the use of the selection gate. Okay, then I am going to add one more gate, which is called as the ignore. I told that 4 gating mechanism. Okay, this is your input gate. Okay, this is your forget gate. This is your selection gate. One more gate I haven't explained, that is ignoring gate. What is this ignoring gate? Because all these gates are trying to cloud your probability of so much of possibilities. Okay, your neural network will be giving so much of possibility combinations. Okay, to this gating mechanism will help you to reduce that possibility. The clouding could be reduced by this, so that we call it as a ignoring gate. This is also helping you to give the correct prediction. So now 4 gates: input gate, ignoring gate, forgetting gate, and the final is the selection gate. So this all mechanism work together and help you to do the data. Now let us take an example and see how this works. So now I have given a input like J. This is seen already. Jane saw spot has been read already. Now this will be there in the prediction. Okay. Now next I am giving Dow. Okay. Now what is the next word? How your mechanism work to select it? So Dow is given as the input. So input is going through here as Dow. Okay, so previous predictions or context that stored in long-term memory is the 3 names. So these 3 names are there stored on your information. Now this is going. Okay, so now Dow is the input and SAW is the prediction. Okay, your network is predicting SAW. So this is going up to the next level. Okay, so after this, it will go to the next level. Here, ignoring nothing is going to be ignored because it is not a very big statement. So same thing is passed to the next level. And this also goes to the memory mechanism. So since it's the first time, this information is going here also. So forgetting gate is also not giving any, since it is the first time, it doesn't have any suggestion now. So it goes through again to the next level. So it is go to the crosses the forgetting gate also. Okay, then so when it is going to this, we have to have the filtered probabilities. So Dow is recently seen. Okay, so this name should not happen. So this will be forget. You have to forget here. Okay, even though it is being transferred to the next level, the selection will ignore this Dow at the next level. That's why it is mentioned here in the black statement. So SAW only will be qualified through the prediction. So you can see that SAW has a qualified and it will go for the next level. So now SAW, when you SAW will be predicted and it will be given. After SAW, now you have a Spot or Jane has to come because Dow is already has been given. So next prediction also it is giving either Jane or Spot will come. After SAW has been predicted, so same mechanism it will go. See, same thing is happening here. 3 names are being qualified, but Dow is already saved on your long-term memory, so it ignores Dow. Okay, so Jane and Spot alone is qualified and it is going for the next level so that you are getting the correct prediction as the output. So this is how your LSTM work. Let us go on for the hands-on session now. How same concept I'll explain on the hands-on session. So I have done in a collab sheet. So here you can see that. Are you able to see my screen? Hello? Are you all with me? Can you able to see the screen? Sir, can you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
That collapse screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I'm going to have this TensorFlow. You all know that why we use this is Colab. If you have a Gmail ID, everybody would have experienced it by now. But anyway, I'll tell you how it works. So here we have a package called TensorFlow. Why we use TensorFlow for machine learning? The interesting question. Because the TensorFlow is helping your Python engine to distribute the work among different GPUs, TPUs, and operating system. And this packages, machine learning packages like Keras, okay, and all other packages, which is scikit-learn, sklearn, all these libraries are being closely working with TensorFlow library so that it can use that API to run distribute the work among different nodes, okay, and get it done and give you the output. For example, when you define a model, there are 5 steps in doing a machine learning. The first step, you have to give the input. Second, you have to design the model. Okay, model is like you can use AdaBoost or you can use a neural network like RNN, CNN, whatever is the model. And third one is the model input model and then the cast function. Okay, cast function is how well your training data is performing on the how well your training data is performing. That is the difference between your predicted output and the actual output on the training data. This used to calculate the cast function. So there are so many different cast functions are there. And after that, we will be using the optimizer. So the gradient descent is again an optimizer we have studied already. I usually use Adam optimizer or AdaBoost, gradient descent or all these optimizer techniques. Okay, that is the optimizer. And fourth one is your performance metrics, that is accuracy. If it is classification, you go for accuracy. If it is a regression, you go for root mean square. Like that we have accuracy. So 5 important things. So this 5 can be distributed. If it is your model is very complex and so much of input like 8,000, 10,000 images you are reading, and it is very difficult for you to run on a normal platform in a normal Python engine. When you use TensorFlow, it divides the modules, whatever I have suggested, 5 modules we have. All this can be divided and a flow graph it creates. This TensorFlow creates a flow graph and give this to different GPUs. When you use GPU or TPUs or CPUs, it will be connected and they run parallelly to bring the output. That's why your TensorFlow packages performs 100 times better than your normal Python environment. That's why we have used TensorFlow here. And next comes the NumPy. Why we use NumPy? See, it's a vector. Usually your machine understand what, even though it's a text captioning, from an image you are converting it to text, or any text captioning or an image also, we need to represent them in a vector. So this NumPy is a multi-dimensional array. So it will help you to run smoothly on the TensorFlow. That's why we use a NumPy. Okay, when we are talking about this particular text, we are now talking on sequence data and the text. Okay, so here when you are talking about the text, we need an embedding layer, because so many text if you are coming, this embedding is helpful in grouping the data which have the same context, like all relatively meaning data are collected towards through the embedding concept. Then we have this sequential model, because we are working on sequential model, and dense layer, you all know that it's a fully connected. We have sparse layer and dense layer. Either for this, it's a simple example, either you can use a LSTM, long short-term memory, or you can use a RNN itself, because it's not a big deal. Small data only I have to. So if it is big, you can see the difference. So RNN or LSTM both will work. So that is there. And here you can see the tokenizer. So this is used to split your input data into token. And I have 2 categorical. What I will do is, see, your machine will only understand mapping. Okay, input to output mapping is happening. Okay, so I have, what I will do is I will convert the entire text into a type of categorical multi-type of classification. For that I need this 2 categorical. So I will convert that into categorical data type. Okay, so I think you know what is the categorical, numerical data, categorical data. All this we have studied, different types of data in that we have studied. So that is discrete data. All this is coming under. So categorical data is like either it belongs to one class or other class, that we call it as a categorical. So I convert the input into a categorical form here. Okay, that's why I have given 2 categorical. So I hope that I have explained all the packages, why we have used it. Then I have installed 2.5 because 3.6 some of my functions are running, showing not there. So I have used that. Okay, now this is my input. I made it very simple because you all can, beginners, if some of you are beginners, it will be easy for you to implement and see. Simply, I have given an input data about RNN and LSTM, and all this is a text. Now I have what first pre-processing I will do is, I will convert this text into first as a numbers. How I will convert? I use tokenizer class and split this input data and convert that into a sequence of array. Okay, so you can see this, that data is called encoded data. It's a sequence of number. You can see all is assigned number 8, recurrent 9, like that. Some of the numbers are repeated. You can see 1 is repeated. So that is that. So all means everywhere 8 for all. Okay, the is 1 means everywhere it is 1 only. The, like that it is created a sequence. Okay. So sequence number is created. Now what I will do is, so I am checking the size of my 9 because it's in the array. It starts from 0. I put +1 so that I know 39. It's the size. Okay. So now you can see this. Now I am converting this sequence into a array. I'm matching the sequence. See, if first day, what I am doing is, see if you are one second, I'll show you what I am trying to do here is. See, if I have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, suppose like this, 4, 5 is there. What I am trying to do is, if I give 0 and 1, I mapped as one sequence. 2 and 3, one sequence. Okay. So 4 and 5 like this, one sequence. So I am mapping that. Not only like this, you can map like 0, 1, 2 as one sequence. Okay. So if you give this input, it will give 3 as the output. Okay. This is your X. It is mapped to your Y as 3. Okay. Similarly, I have grouped them so that it creates a sequence. Okay. So for trying to do that only, we have done this. So this number prediction, suppose I am doing a number prediction. If I give input 0, 1, 2, it will say your output is 3. Okay. This is how I am mapping. So similarly, we can do it for images also. A image under text, you can map like this. We'll talk about it later. Okay. So now only we will understand this, how this is going on. So this is how it goes. So that's why I have grouped them. Okay. So I have mapped at a pair. Okay. Pair of sequences. So if I give one, it will say the other. If I say RNN, it will say LSTM. Like that, I have grouped them. Okay. So as a pairs. So now I am defining my X and Y values. Okay. So X is RNN means Y is LSTM. It will map like that. I have X and Y. I have splitted them. The whole thing I have splitted into sequence. Then I convert the Y into a categorical variable. Okay, so its size of the vocabulary is 39. So my array will be having 39 different combination. You can see that. See, first one is set to 1. Okay, so it's like I am converting that particular number value into, see, for all. Okay, what is the matching of Y value? That will be converted into, for example, you can say that 8 to 9. Okay. So first 8 in vanduchna, 9th position it should be 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th position. You can see 9th position is converted into 1. So for if 8th position is RNN, 9th position is LSTM. So it is converted like that. Okay, mapping. Okay, X to Y mapping is done. So everything you have to convert into number. This is what we are doing so much of in pre-processing. So the entire machine learning code, pre-processing is 75%. Only 25% is model designing. So that is what happening here. So I have converted into a categorical data now. Then I am using a very simple model, a sequential model. And first, always when you are using a text data, NLP data itself, first layer is embedding only. So this will reduce your context. Okay, it will group the words and keep as an embedding layer, then it is easy. Then I have added only one simple LSTM which has 50 nodes. LSTM network which has a 50 nodes. Then the output layer. Okay, only 3 layers are there here. You can see that one input layer, one LSTM. We can go on adding number of LSTM layers. Since the complexity of the data is very less, I have used only one LSTM. And also the running time will be easy for you. When I share this sheet, you can easily run and check how it is working. So that's why. So you can see that I have only 50 nodes as a nodes, and you can see that dense layer is my output. Okay, since I am using categorical, I have used softmax. If I am using regression type, sometimes we will use regression also. At that times I will use ReLU, rectified linear unit. Softmax is mostly used for multi-classification. This problem I have converted into a form of multi-classification. That's why we use softmax here. Okay, so that is what the softmax is doing. So then you can see the summary of the model that is given here. Okay, totally I have 14,579 parameters. Okay, trainable parameters. Okay, this is being given. Your embedding layer has 390 parameters. See, I have chosen the input length as 1 and 10. Okay, shape output shape as 10. So that is 390 this coming because 39 parameters I have. So 39 into 10, it's become 390. Okay, and 50 nodes we have. So your LSTM is giving this. Okay, so you need fully connected dense layer. So we have this. So we have dense layer and sparse layer. Usually we use output layer as dense and hidden layer as sparse. Okay. Now this is being given. Now I am going for the next level, that is compiling the model. So I have used categorical cross entropy as my loss function. Usually I told there are different types of loss functions are there. We have used cross entropy. So different types of cross entropy is there. You can go and check in the TensorFlow Google page. So different types of entropies are there. And then optimizer, I have used Adam optimizer. Stochastic gradient descent also you can use. So what is the use of this optimizer is, this optimizer will help you to optimize. See, when you see this optimizer, see, usually your weight has to be increased. Okay, so what happens is when you increase your weight, your performance or error might be coming down, but again it will reach a down, then it will be your model will be doing good and it goes high. Okay, so when you increase the weight, it has to be in a curve like this, stepwise. Okay, so this optimizer makes sure that the increment of your weight is done through this, we call it as a gradient descent. So this optimizer is helping you to do the same way. Okay, so improve your weight in a stepwise. Okay, so that it won't explode. Then your metrics, since it is I have changed it into a multi classification model, I have used metrics as accuracy. Okay, so that is the steps you can see here. So initially my accuracy is very low, like 3.3 only, because the data is very less. When you give more data, because for a machine learning model, data is all, because for a normal program, the logic is all, whereas for a machine learning program, input is all. How much input you give, that much accuracy will get, right? So this is your, see that the accuracy is less, even though I have tried it. So now we will see how this prediction function works. I designed a function for predicting the outputs. So this generate sequence model is getting the information from the data from your input text and model and predicting the output. So you can see that model I have given as input and tokenizer, whatever input we are giving that will be tokenized. And LSTM, if the keyword LSTM comes, what is the 3 next word for prediction? So it is showing LSTM networks have GAN. So this is the possible prediction it has given. So you can also check that with your, whether your prediction 0.3 only it is, still we can check. Any statement we have networks has like that, you can see here whenever there is a LSTM coming. you can see LSTM, after that networks, it's coming. So somehow your prediction is going good only. So you can see here, it's also predicted. Networks have, after networks, it might have given 2 other prediction have, and yeah. So if I give 2, it will predict 2 words. Okay, if it is 3, it will next to 3 prediction it is doing. So this is how your LSTM model is being given. I will share the copy of this Excel sheet. You can try to do a simple program like this, and you can build a complex model. And what is the drawback of the LSTM is, again, this LSTM works only on the sequence data. Like, see, if your data is very complex and have so much of information on it, and then this LSTM also might fail due to gradient descent. Okay, so because even though you have so many gating mechanism, all this is being deployed, there is a possibility that it could also fail. So that's why we are going for the next level that we call it as attention networks. In that, what happened? The text are being analyzed in 360 degree. Okay, so first word is taken, it is mapped to all the context. Okay, second word is taken, it is mapped to all the context. So this attention network cannot be, it's not like LSTM or an package you cannot include here. This you have to design. Okay, the weightages, there comes the picture. The attention to the keywords are being mathematically given. Okay, so we have to assign that, then only the attention work. So next level of attention is the transformers. So now we are working on the transformers. That is the highest level where we are working with the inputs. Basically, that in computer visioning, where we use RNN and LSTM is for image captioning, video to text. When you are analyzing the video and converting them into text, we use this because parallel mapping. Okay, image and the text we match and generate. At that time, we use this LSTM. So as such, LSTM is not very much of useful on images. Okay, so image and text, when you are working, we will come up with the LSTM. So for example, medical report generations, seeing on the images, or you are going for the video analytics, activity on the video if you are want to check or analyze it, then you go for LSTM networks. Okay, with this I'll stop. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to thank our longtime friend, Dr. Ambedkar, for giving me this nice opportunity to meet you all on this online platform. Shall we move on for the question session right now? Because the other part we couldn't complete today. So we'll see next time we'll do the rest of the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again. So participant, if any doubt, kindly ask the question to ma'am, or otherwise put the chat box. Participants? If any doubt, raise the hand. Participant, if any doubt recording this session.
Thank you, ma'am. I think participants have no doubt. Thank you so much for your wonderful session, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I think there is no doubt recording your session.
For free lunch, and everybody has no doubt on that.
No, ma'am. Somebody has put the message. There a nice session, right?
No
you
issue.
see the chat box. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for accepting my invitation, ma'am.
Thank you for such a wonderful opportunity. We'll stay connected. Bye, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Participants?
Assignment link will be posted in WhatsApp group. Duration is 10 minutes. Resume after 10 minutes for validatory function. Thank you.